Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going over mariachi arranging for trumpet. So if you saw the violin video, it's going to be very similar, okay? So let me go ahead and get started. So if you notice, this is in context to C major, but as I previously mentioned, because the trumpets are tuned to B flat, they play one key higher, which means we're adding two sharps in, right? See the two sharps, and everyone else has 0 sharps, 0 flats, right? So if we go to this first note in the trumpet, it says note pitch here at the bottom left, note pitch F sharp sounding as E, right? F sharp 5 sounding as E5. If we go right here, trumpet 2, note pitch D5 sounding as C5. Okay? So even though physically on paper or on the score, it's in a different key, we're still going to sound like we're playing in C major. So let me go ahead and show you what's going on here. So right here, we have the trumpets playing in thirds, right? I'm going to go ahead and add a double bar line right here just to separate. Right here we have thirds, right? And then over here we have sixths, just like in the violin, right? So right here, we have D and F sharp. And then whatever I do here, I'm kind of just moving in the same motion, right? And it's following the melody, right? The trumpet melody that's going on here. I'm playing the third, right? D and F sharp, and I'm following the melody that's happening up top, right? Melody's still on top. Mariachi melody goes on top. We harmonize underneath. Okay? So, right here we have F sharp, and then we have A in trumpet 2. Right? So this is in sixths. Harmony is in sixths. So we're going to move the same way but in sixths, right? If you notice, the notes still move the same way, but they're harmonizing. Let me show you how this sounds. Right, so you could use either or, right? You could use this or you could use this. There is another scenario, but I'll get to that in a bit right now when we go into the ensemble setting. So this is within an ensemble how it would sound, right? So if you look up here at the violins, violin 1's still playing the melody, and violin 2 and 3 are harmonizing. If you notice, if we were to transpose the trumpet physically to C major, F sharp sounds as E. What is the violin 1 playing? E. Trumpet 2 sounds as C. What's the violin 2 playing? C, right? So right here on the trumpets, we're doubling first and second violin. Let me show you how that would sound. Okay, so all we did there was doubled the first and second violins. Now, let me show you a variation of what else we could do. Let's say, for example, violin 1 is too high for the trumpet to double, right? So a trumpet might not be able to fit into a really high range, or if it's to a point where they're gonna be kind of making their lips get tired because of how high the notes they are playing, right? We're gonna do this instead. Violin 2 and 3 are gonna be doubled in trumpet 1 and 2. So if you notice here, violin 2 is playing C, trumpet's playing D, but it sounds like C. Violin 3 is gonna play G, trumpet 2 is playing A, but it sounds like G. So they're just going to double the exact same thing that's going on here. Now go ahead and have a listen. So that's basically all I did. I just doubled the harmonies. Melody's still on top. I just doubled the harmonies. And this happens a lot. These two examples that I just showed you, where the trumpets are doubling, That happens a lot in intros to songs, right? In intros, the trumpet and the violin usually double each other, and then either one will drop out and then come back in, and they'll still double the intro, right? The only time when violins and trumpets usually play separately is if they're doing adornos or just specific things in the song that might be unique to your arrangement or your piece, right? So usually in intros and endings, violins and trumpets will just double off of each other. They'll just play it differently, right? Violins are usually very legato. Trumpets will tend to play the notes a little shorter, but not too short to where the sound quality goes away, right? Okay, now in this example, we got 2-part on a single line. So that just means, I'm going to go ahead and take off the trumpet 2-part. That just means that, my bad. That just means that right here, we have violins 1, 2, and 3, and we only have one trumpet line. However, there's 2 parts on the single line. And the reason why some groups might do this, a lot of professional groups actually do this, they'll put the trumpet part, but let's say you have to play for an hour, 2 hours straight, right? Or maybe you're gigging and you have a lot of gigs in one day. Let's say, for example, it's Mother's Day and you have a lot of gigs, right? You're going to want to write the trumpets out like this. It might be in your best interest to do this because what the trumpet players will do amongst themselves, since the violin's already playing the melody, the violins have taken care of the melody, the violins are harmonizing here, right? Off of this melody. What the trumpet players will do in this situation, they might choose to highlight their parts on their paper, right? For example, if the trumpet 1 says, you know what, I kind of want to save my lips here, I'm going to be a little tired if I continuously play high notes or I continuously play in this range. If the violin's already playing the melody, I might decide that I'm going to play this note and trumpet 2 is going to play this note an octave lower. So this is what trumpet 2 would play. Let me just go ahead and show you an example in just this measure, right? Trumpet 2 might be playing the note but an octave lower, right? So they might decide to invert the harmony in order to save their lips, right? And that's kind of the perk of writing the parts like this, right? Writing it on a single line. That way the trumpet players decide which notes they actually want to play, because the violin's already playing up here, so they might decide just to create a harmony, right? The trumpet players. And if you notice here, this is a 4th, right? It's okay for trumpets to play 4th and 5ths. It's okay for them to do that because in this situation, the melody's already being played, right? The melody's already up here, so it's okay for the trumpet players to play 4ths or 5ths because they're providing harmony. If the melody's already being played, this is fine, right? So right here, in this instance, they would just invert the notes if they wanted to. Okay, so for my last example right here, I'm going to go ahead and hide those. So now, this is like an instance in which you only have 4 musicians, right? 1 violin, 1 trumpet, a vihuela player, and a guitarrón. And let's say you're going to go gig, right? So we have the violin still playing the melody, and what the trumpet would do is they would play what a violin 2 would be playing, right? So you'd be playing the melody up here, and the trumpet would be playing the harmony, right? Violin on the melody and trumpet on the harmony, right? Let me show you how this sounds. So notice right here, I kind of dropped it down a bit. So we had C up here. I just dropped it down to an F sharp, but it's going to sound as an E, right? So that I changed that part to a 6th. I could also change this to a 6th if I wanted to. So we have D, and then we'd move this note down to an F, right? So we could do this, right? It just depends. You kind of learn as you go, but you basically just want to separate out the notes that would clash with each other. You want to get those notes out of the way, so you have to decide whether you use a third or a sixth, right? But this is kind of what you would do in the setting in which you only have one violin and one trumpet player. Okay? I hope this video helped out. Thank you very much again for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me or write it in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. And once again, thank you very much.